So, today's Saturday. And what that means for us is it's wedding day. So, I am on my way to the bakery to pick up a cake for a delivery. One that I did a tutorial on the decorating of as I was doing it. And this video might be shaky because I have you up on my on my window. Anyway, so I'm going to the bakery to get the cake and get it all boxed up, and I want to show you how I deliver and set up my wedding. So that's the game plan. I've had a lot of requests for advice on this type of thing. So I am going to go ahead and end this part now. This is kind of the intro to let you know what I'm doing, and I will keep you updated on the progress. So stick around. Okay, so I'm at the grocery store. One of my tricks on how to successfully deliver a wedding cake through trial and error is actually to use dry ice to help transport. So I will go ahead and get the dry ice, and then I will show you in a little bit what I do with it. Okay, so let me see if I can show you my delivery boxes. This one on the left is the one I use for the bottom 2 or 3 tiers, and then the smaller size is what I use for my upper tiers, or upper tiers of taller cakes when I need to deliver them in separate pieces. So the smaller box basically looks like this. I have, oh, junk in there. Excuse that. I have shelf liner on the bottom that I will smooth out before I put the cake on there. And then I have, but this is about 1/2 inch insulation with, what do you call it? Velcro. Velcro is the word, with Velcro holding the pieces on. And I have that on everything but the bottom. The bottom just has the mat, because otherwise it would take up too much room inside the box. So the lid has that on as well. And it's the same in this box. You can see, that I've got the shelf paper liner on here, and I do have a particle board, pressed particle board underneath there to hold the weight of the cake. It's just a regular packing box that I have cut the bottom part off and use this as a tray to hold the cake. Then I have my insulation in this box also, and it just slides. It's hard to film this with one hand. It slides in to the lid like that. So that's what my boxes look like. I'll get my car loaded up.
So here we have the
I will
lovely
show you
Addie,
how
my
I
boss,
put everything in there.
lifting the cake into the box, and the camera kind of died off to the side there. But here I am using the dry ice. I just break it up into smaller pieces. Use a towel, because as you know, dry ice can burn you pretty bad. And use the smaller pieces and place them around your cake, keeping in mind that you're going to need to put the lid on. And that lid has some thickness to it, about 1/2 inch of thickness with the insulation. You just want to make sure that you can get it down all the way on top of the cake without leaning, so that you don't accidentally brush the sides. Now put the top down very gently, because you can't see what you're doing. And this cake was decorated with some sugar flour, so I'm just showing you that these are going with also.
So in here I have my boxes of my cakes, with my cakes in there, my inspiration picture, my bag of goodies, and I'll list a list of supplies that I take when I deliver, and my handy dandy little red cart that I use, that I actually hook with not Velcro, with a bungee cord to my seat so that it does not move around. So it's a good thing I pack things the way I do, because there's road construction, and it's uneven, gravelly, graded road right now that I'm driving on. So I'm glad that I have the dry ice. Perfect example. So anyways, the reason I use dry ice is because, short story time, I had an experience that about made me leave the industry. At the beginning, I delivered all my cakes already tiered, and they would sit out all night on the counter at room temperature. Well, I learned my lesson, because I had a cake, it was a 5-tier cake, covered in sprinkles, and halfway to my venue, I heard thunk, psh, sprinkles everywhere. No kidding. I about died. Everything turned out fine. I called the bride's mom and told her what happened, apologized profusely, gave them a huge discount or refund, gave them a free anniversary cake the next year. And you know what, honestly, that's a lesson too, that how you handle things can be a huge difference. I was very lucky that this family was grateful and kind, and they actually sent me referrals after that. And I'd like to think it's partially because of how I dealt with the situation. Maybe. Anyway, so from there, I did a lot of research, and I tried to figure out the best way to deliver wedding cakes without the risk of things falling apart. So I discovered this method where you take regular moving boxes and you insulate them, and at some point I will probably do a video on how I make those. I'll probably wait until I need to make another one. The ones I have now are still working and they're getting a little worn, but every couple of years, like maybe every 2 years, you need to remake these boxes. Sorry, I have allergies right now. So now I have these insulated boxes, and I use the dry ice, because dry ice with cake is different than other ice, your standard ice, because what dry ice does is it takes moisture away instead of adding moisture to. I was just assaulted by a leaf. So what it does is it doesn't dry out your cake, but it keeps it from getting sweaty so much. I mean, the longer it's in with the dry ice, the colder it's going to get, and it's going to sweat some anyways. But it's not adding moisture to it, so that helps. So when you get it to the venue, I wouldn't recommend delivering any taller than 3 tiers pre-stacked. For me, it's my back. My back tends to give out on me, so I wouldn't do higher than a 3-tier. And if you got 4-tier or 5-tier, transport those in a separate box. Make sure you have your dowels in your cake beneath where your extra layers are going to be. And if you have like 2 extra tiers going on, make sure that you have dowels in the second from the top to support the top tier. Just make sure you handle that already, because ideally once you get to the venue, your cake is going to be firm to the touch, very firm to the touch, and you can basically just add some buttercream to the tier below where you're adding your next tier, and just place the next one on it. Do your caulking around the edge or your border, whatever it is that you're doing in between the tiers. You're done. The only thing about this method is also you don't want to deliver right before they're serving it, because it's going to be cold. So you're going to want to make sure that you arrange for like 2 hours before it's served. I'm trying to think of anything else you might want to know about this. Can't think of anything right now, but if I think of something, I will add it. And I'm going to go ahead and film myself, if they'll let me at the venue, film myself putting the cake together, and then I can explain, do a voiceover on what I've done. So we'll probably see you next at the venue.
So I had already made sure that the table was sturdy. That's something you need to do. Make sure that it's not going to fall down when you place a cake on it. Just kind of take a look underneath, wiggle around, make sure that it's sturdy. And I had recruited the DJ to help me lift it since my back was kind of out of whack. And this table was very high. Now I'm just pulling up those support dowels that I had already placed at the bakery, so that when I take the top tier out of the box, it is nice and firm. I can just place it on top of those dowels, and I'll put a little buttercream on the top also. And the weight of the cake itself will probably push the dowels back in. And I don't know what's going on with my camera. I don't know why these lines are going across horizontally, but we'll just have to look past it. Now you can see I had to actually climb on top of a chair to get up high enough to put this top tier on. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm too short. So I did push down just a little bit. Sometimes you do need to coax it just a little bit. And then I'm just using my bag of frosting that I bring. I always bring a bag of the buttercream for touch-ups and for doing the caulking around the cake to make it more uniform, since it did not have a border. We don't do a whole lot of borders anymore. That's kind of, I don't want to say old school. We do it sometimes, but the more modern look has more of a seamless finish to it. And I just use my finger to smooth it down. And then sometimes I'll use my scraper to get it really pushed into the corner there. These flowers are wired or on a toothpick, but I do like to add on the top specifically, or an area where they're going to have a hard time sticking in or staying on the cake. I like to add a little buttercream underneath. So that's what is in the bag that I'm piping onto the cake, and I'm just kind of setting the flower on the buttercream, but still kind of stuck in the cake a little bit. Now for the greenery, I did kind of bend the wire a little bit so that it would hang down and be more of a cascading drape type look. And these are little gum paste baby's breath that I had made clusters of as kind of a little filler. And when I am adding sugar flowers to a cake, I like to make some extra petals that aren't wired and aren't attached to the flower. That way I can stick them in wherever you have a gap. Because sugar flowers, since they dry hard, they don't really have a whole lot of flexibility, if any at all. It depends on how you assemble the flowers. But specifically with roses, I don't necessarily do the petals individually wired. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But on these I didn't. So you cannot manipulate the petals to fill in spaces. So if you have some extra petals, then you can fill in those spaces with those. And I think that helps a lot. So here's the final product. This venue is in a little town called Muscatine, Iowa, where I'm actually from. I don't live there now, but it's still fairly close. And this is a brand new motel in town, and it is gorgeous. So if you liked this new type of a video, let me know. Maybe I could do more vlog type videos, depends on what I have going. But go ahead and subscribe, like, share, and hit the notification bell, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.